Hello, Virginia librarians. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Kelly Passek. I'm the librarian at Blacksburg Middle School in the Roanoke region. And today I'm speaking in a big picture sort of way on how I took what my students needed for success and figured out a way to deliver that to them. Literally deliver that to them. My students needed access to resources, and I figured out a way to bring those resources directly to them. Now, I did this in a very unconventional way. I used drones to deliver library books directly to my students at their homes. But at the most basic level, I did what we all strive to do, to meet our students where they are and provide for their success. This is a great story. It's an amazing opportunity that I had, an unbelievable result, and an opening to an avenue to advocate for our profession that wasn't even on my radar prior to this. And while drone delivery programs may not be in everyone's future, at least for not right now, my hope is to give you ideas for what you can do to meet the needs of your students. I know that you can all answer the question of what is a school librarian, and whether you start with Virginia's 5 C's, providing the skills for critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creative thinking, citizenship, or you start with the foundations of our AASL National School Library Standards to inquire, include, collaborate, curate, explore, and engage, or your school division's mission and vision statement. Mine is to engage, encourage, and empower our learners to be college and career ready. Or you start with your own library's mission and vision statement. The goal is the same. We're all working toward the success of our students, academically, social, emotionally, and life skills-wise. Everything we do for our students. And we recognize that students with access to a school library, staffed by a full-time certified school librarian, are more successful than students without that access. So we've got our goal. Now we need to talk about how we get there. The best career advice that I received was while I was in library school. And this is my second career, so I've heard a lot of advice. And that advice was to take the job and to make it your own. And I didn't really know what that meant. And so I applied for job after job, a 3-state search with a husband and 4 kids that were pretty well settled where we were, yet were willing to move if I found this elusive, perfect job. And my husband, a chemistry and robotics teacher, had offer after offer, and I did not. And so we didn't end up moving. And 2 weeks before the new school year started, I took the only offer that I had, a long-term sub-position at a middle school library. The only age group that in all of my applications I did not apply to work with. Middle schoolers seemed intimidating. But that was my only option. And so I took the job, I figured out the advice, and now I'm going on 8 years there of making it my own. Because at the end of my subterm, I was offered and so pleased to accept the librarian position there. My library looks just like yours. Collaborative lessons, information literacy instruction, incorporation of technology, opportunities for independent and group learning, reading for pleasure, building friendships, and learning to work with others. And over time, I've been able to look at the data and get to know my school community and its learners and understand what my students need for success. Because when we say make it your own, we mean learn what your students need for their success and make it happen. Meet your students where they are and figure out a way to provide what they need. My students needed access to resources. I was seeing a concerning trend in the data that showed that book checkouts had been declining over time and knew that I had to work to reverse it. We have over 20 years of data, you've seen the data, that show that free choice reading and access to a school library staffed by a full-time certified school librarian are both instrumental and essential to student success, not just academically, where you might initially expect it, but also math scores increase as well. And then also free choice reading positively affects a student's social and emotional well-being. And so providing that access to free choice reading is extremely important. Our school division had recently moved to one-to-one devices, and the constant availability of the devices and the internet was suggested as a reason why students didn't have as much time to read. I'm certain that there are multiple factors, but whatever the case, it needed to be reversed. And so during the 2018-19 school year, I made it my goal, my Standard 7 program goal, to work to reverse this trend. And so my library also looks like this. Now, prior to taking steps to increase access to resources, I had already been working on how my school community perceived our library. Students don't have to be readers to use the library. I know I'm preaching to the choir here. In fact, if that's the message that our students hear or even think that they hear, then we've lost those that need the library the most. We want our students to be readers, absolutely. That's why we've been talking about my issue of my students reading less and how important it is that I figure out how to fix it. But if my non-readers don't feel like there's a place for them in the library, if they don't feel like they can come into the library when they have that small amount of flexible time that they do, then I may have lost them. I don't want them to be intimidated by an information literacy lesson that I'm presenting instead of contributing to the discussion and taking away valuable information. I don't want them to have a question about copyright and be hesitant to come and ask me because they're not familiar with the library or because they don't feel as if they know me well enough to approach me. And so some of what my library looks like is because I need to make sure that everyone feels like they belong there. So maybe you're coming in because it's dance party morning and you like the music. Maybe it's because I've got your art on display and you're coming in to show a friend. Maybe you're coming in because I brought my pet snakes in for the day and you've never touched one before. Or even better, you want to watch your friend touch one for the first time. I've got you covered. Maybe you're coming in because you remember how fun it was to ride on the bikes when you visited the library during preschool. We're thinking long-term too. And if you're coming in for the library dog, everybody comes in for the library dog. And each time you come in, it becomes a little bit more of your own space and you become a little bit more comfortable. It's just me on my own in the library with over 900 students. Sadly, my school system no longer has a full-time school librarian for each school anymore. So I know that I'm lucky that I'm there full-time, even if I am on my own. I ask my teachers for a lot of help. When I teach, they cover the desk, they answer the phone, they deal with Chromebook issues. And in exchange, in addition to typical library topics, I teach everything under the sun. I cook with hundreds of kids to make a Depression-era meal to end their unit on the Great Depression. We regularly participate in citizen science activities to contribute to the work of scientists around the globe. I learn the dance steps along with our theater kids, and so on. So our library is well loved and well used, but I still had my problem. I still needed to get those resources into the hands of my students. And so while I was actively working in the library to make this happen, something very unique happened in my personal life that contributed tremendously to this effort. In October 2019, Google's sister company, Wing, launched its service in the town where I live, and we became the only town in the entire United States to have residential drone delivery service. We can use an app to select and purchase household goods, and within 4 minutes of submitting the request, a drone lands them in our yard. You can have a Snickers bar in your hand in 4 minutes, and that in itself is amazing technology. Wing is the only aviation company with FAA approval to deliver goods by drone to personal residences. They fly in only 4 places: Helsinki, Finland, 2 cities in Australia, and Christiansburg, Virginia, where I live. And my family was chosen by Wing to be one of the first 3 families in the United States to receive a residential drone delivery. My high school neighbor made us a video to commemorate the event.
For the first ever real residential drone delivery in the U.S., Wing sent a Walgreens package to my neighbor's yard today. Wing has had this service in Australia for about a year and is now active in Finland as well. In America, so far, Wing has partnered with FedEx, Walgreens, and Sugar Magnolia, a local candy business, for the 3 companies that you can order drone delivery from. The Wing drone flies from the nest to your house and unwinds the cable to drop a package on your pre-specified delivery drone in your yard or driveway. The Wing drones are autonomous and are controlled by a central computer, but are overseen by a commercial airline pilot. That's everything, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
As you can imagine, there was much planning and practice prior to the event. So during all of this preparation, I'd been thinking, as teachers I like to do, about my students and about their resource access issue and about this groundbreaking technology that I was getting to be a part of. So after conferring with my superintendent, who got on board right away, I approached the folks at Wing with my idea. And so just a suggestion, make sure that you are always sharing with your superintendent all of the good things that you're doing so that when you approach with a really big idea, they're ready to hear it. And the idea that I approached the folks at Wing with was this: what if we could use drones to deliver library books directly to a student at their homes? Think of the service that we could provide to the students in our community. And Wing agreed. So my initial idea was to use drone delivery as a way to combat the summer slide when school libraries are closed and students may not be able to get to the public library. So they're in a situation of a temporary book desert. But then the pandemic began we moved to fully remote learning, and our need to get resources to our students became more important than ever. And our program took off, literally. And this is what it looks like. I'll play 2 short videos for you. The first is our promotional video, and the second is from NBC Nightly News Kids Edition that features some of our earliest drone delivery recipients. As a school librarian, it is extremely important to me to have connections with my students. So when we went to a period of remote learning, that became a little bit harder to do. How was I going to keep that connection with my students without actually being in the same physical space with them? When I first thought about this, I went to Dr. Mark Meyer, our superintendent of schools, and told him that I had a really, really exciting idea, and that was to use drone to provide library books to our students. Libraries provide a critical and unique service, and during this time of remote learning, our job is even more important. We need to use the available technologies to continue to provide our students with access to our resources. And Wing has provided an outlet for us to do exactly that.
Call sign. Is it A, Marine 1, B, Air Force 2, C, Chopper 1? Well, the answer is A. A librarian in Virginia who's come up with a unique way to help make sure kids are getting their reading in without even leaving home. And it's creating quite a buzz, shall we say. Here's Kevin Tibbles.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a book. Yes, here in Montgomery County, Virginia, the middle school library is beating the pandemic by delivering books to kids with a drone. 10-year-old Camden Robertson believe his eyes.
I was like bouncing off the walls, crazy excited.
Making sure kids get their reading in is the brainchild of middle school librarian Kelly Passek, and it's free.
I've seen lots and lots of smiles from happy kids with their books. So it is certainly exciting to get a package from the drone. And then when you open the package and you've got the book that you've been waiting to read or that you have asked for, and it comes right to your house, that's really an exciting time.
The school board partnered with the parent company of Google to deliver the books, which arrive by airmail, literally. Camden received John Grisham's Theodore Boone Kid Lawyer. To participate, kids can order the books online. Some 600 students in the Christiansburg, Virginia area are eligible. This drone thing is really quite interesting. Maybe I could get into the act and become the world's first drone reporter, dropping in to do interviews. Second grader Aliyah Chakravarti has received countless books in recent months.
They breathe fire.
And she's kept busy reading them all.
When the drone comes, I feel very excited and very happy. And then I just go to my room and start reading.
Wing is the name of the drone service, the first to receive permission to deliver packages by air in the United States. They're also doing it in Finland and Australia. And hey, if they can deliver books, maybe they can deliver other things too.
What are you going to do when they start delivering your homework by drone?
Oh, I don't know.
Maybe you'll be hiding under your bed that day.
Wow, Kevin, that was really great. Thank you for bringing us that story.
And so just to explain briefly how the system works, first, your family must be eligible for drone delivery. So if you are in the delivery area, which is a 3-mile radius outside of the nest, which is what they call their warehouse, you can sign up. If you're buying something for delivery, you use an app on your phone and you only pay for the product. There is no delivery fee. If you are requesting a library book, And again, Wing is assuming all delivery costs. It is a tremendous service to our students that they are providing. The students access the online catalog and choose their book just like they would in school. And then they fill out a Google form so that I know what to send them. I pull and package the books. I deliver them to Wing, and Wing flies them out. Requests arrive the same day or the next day, weather dependent. Wing does not receive any student data. Only the delivery address is on the package. There are no names or grades or any identifying information associated with the student. My colleagues provided me with access to their library collections so that I could get the books that students are requesting that I don't have in my library. We were not concerned with book return. We decided that our goal was to get books out to the students. And so students were encouraged to keep the books until we started back to school, and then they could return them to their library, and then they made their way back to their home library. The service is ongoing. We have made it a regular part of our school library system. The publicity was immediate, unexpected, and a little overwhelming. The Washington Post broke the story, and once that was published, requests came from everywhere, local, national, international, from agencies that reported specifically on drone technology to agencies that reported specifically on libraries like ALA, to those who use this as a special interest story like Reuters and People magazine. I had a crash course in journalism and interviewing, and I started to notice that each interview ended with a variation of the same question. What else would you like our audience to know? And in my mind, I was wondering, anything I want to tell them? And so I caught on pretty quickly, and I started to tell them. I started to tell them about how essential school libraries are. I started to tell them about what school librarians do, our teaching of information skills, our collaboration with our teacher colleagues, our work to make sure that students have access to diverse books, our safe spaces, our programming to encourage students to be lifelong library users. So my innovation turned into accidental advocacy. I took advantage of the opportunity that was offered to me. And that accidental advocacy then turned into purposeful, planned advocacy. I partnered with my colleagues from my school system and 2 neighboring school systems to meet with our local and state legislators to continue to promote our message. People love libraries and librarians, but they don't know what we do, and they don't know how vital it is for students to have access to a school library with a certified school librarian. I've spoken with public library leaders from around the world and learned that their concerns are very similar to ours. So imagine a school librarian for 900 students in a rural community in Southwest Virginia has the same concerns as the director of libraries for the entire country of Denmark, the entire country of Japan. I'll tell you that broadband access was at the top of their lists. I now find myself in the position of state legislative chair for VAASL. Still intimidating, but VAASL is full of people all working together to promote our profession and genuinely wanting to help others do the same. I hope that you are already aware that the legislative and advocacy committees of VAASL have just launched our VAASL Small Steps campaign on social media, because we recognize that we all want and need to promote our profession and sometimes just don't know how to get started and need that community to work within. So what can you do to start in this advocacy role? I'd encourage you to join our Small Steps campaign. The legislative and advocacy committees designed a campaign specifically to help us take those first steps into speaking up and speaking out. You follow along and participate as you're comfortable. We provide the motivation, but there's no reporting in if you don't want to. We're doing this along with you. VAASL Small Steps is a weekly challenge for you to take that ultimately will advocate for our profession and all that we do for our students. For March, our focus is on writing or revising your library mission and vision statements. Each week, we take another step toward accomplishing that. April is going to focus on advocating at the local level for your school library to celebrate School Library Month. So step one in learning how to advocate for our profession and students is to join us. And in addition to ideas that I hope you have from listening and from taking part in the Small Steps campaign, if you would like a larger role in VAASL, if you can make some time, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear about your accomplishments. Please share them with us. Thank you so much. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions.